Well, we're watching an area of the Caribbean and also some severe weather for the northern plains, and believe it or not, September, we're behind for tornadoes. So it doesn't look like much yet, but we got a little mass of clouds here in the Caribbean, and National Hurricane Center is watching that for a possibility of cyclone formation here. 40% chance here over the next 7 days that this area could drift into the Gulf of Mexico and become the next named storm. And it would be Helene if it does, because that storm that hit the Carolinas this week didn't quite make it to tropical storm strength. That would have been Helene, but it didn't get there. We also have some severe weather in the northern plains. It's been pretty quiet in the plains lately, but slight risk. Broad area from Iowa into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and a hatched area in particular for large hail today. But there's also the chance of some tornadoes. We could see some supercells develop with these setup here initially late Thursday afternoon into the evening hours. We've got a cold front moving across the region and a strong upper level low. This is some cold air aloft. So plenty of instability, but also enough cold air and a deep layer of cold air to produce some of that large hail. Unusually muggy air too for this time of year. It is late September, and to see dew points well into the 60s, even near 70 in places like Minnesota and Wisconsin is not particularly common. So that will create enough instability. These are CAPE values in the 3,000 to 4,000 joules range ahead of that cold front. And already this morning, the hail parameters were in the 2-inch range here in blue. And that area will be shifting across the eastern part of Minnesota, western Wisconsin, and expand into eastern Iowa late afternoon, evening hours. Supercell index, plenty high too, and the significant tornado parameter, not particularly exciting, but it's enough where we could see a couple spin-ups here anywhere from Iowa into eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin late this afternoon. So cold front scenarios tend to have a brief window of severe weather rather than a broader area ahead of a warm front. So storms will fire right in that peak heating of the day across eastern Minnesota and then spread into eastern Iowa and throughout Wisconsin into the evening hours. But this time of year, you have as much night as day. So once we head into the evening hours, things will probably quiet down pretty quickly. But this is a look at some of the updraft tracks where we could see some of the stronger cells from the high resolution rapid refresh model. And believe it or not, it's been a crazy year for severe weather for much of the country, but we are behind for September. Only 14 tornadoes through yesterday. Normal to date is about 38. We should see 64 in total in the month of September, and Florida is our hot spot, but Minnesota kind of stands out as one of the higher tornado states for September at least. August was slightly above normal. We had 94 in the month of August. Normal for the month of August is 84 on a national scale here, but still year to date, when we look at things nationally, we are way ahead. So despite a fairly quiet September compared to normal, year to date, 1,614 tornadoes. That's a third more than normal at this point in the season. A lot of that was in April and May, and then kind of a secondary bump in tornadoes in July, and then things have quieted down recently here in the month of September.